All right, where are my messy cooks at? Because we are gonna roll up our sleeves today and figure out how to not be messy or as messy. That's the pain point of this week where I'm at, where with cooking, I love to do it. I'm an ADHDer who doesn't skip a meal. I have a big appetite, people. But the timing of a meal, the amount of mess I make during a meal, the impulsive, let's grab every pot and pan I own because it's clean, Heidi comes out, and also the horrible amount of boring cleanup that is required after the creative process is done. I'd like to fix it. I would like to tweak it, you know? I'm not going to be some perfect clean chef. Like if Gordon Ramsay or the Bear Kitchen or if they saw the business that I was doing, they'd be like, no, you need to get out of here. And so we're going to take a magnifying glass and I'm going to really carefully look at how do the pros do it? How do other people on the internet clean dishes because maybe I've been doing it wrong? How do people save time during the week? And is this clean as you go BS really, is there something to be said for it? So that's what we're unpacking today. I hope you can stick around and see all my solutions. We'll also do a little bit of complaining why this is hard for us. Make sure that you like or comment. It really does help this little channel, and I so appreciate you sharing this with the cooks in your life, your friends in your life that just want to do better and just want to take little steps to improve the pain points in our life. We are going to spend a hot minute to complain and reframe. Complain. I don't understand why the math doesn't math when it comes to cooking in general. How it can take what feels like over 4 hours of work to then eat a meal that only takes 10 to 15 minutes for everyone to chow down on, and then sometimes over an hour to clean up. Like the math isn't mathing, and that is rude, and I don't like it. Decision fatigue is real, and it comes in hot and heavy when it comes to preparing meals. My husband can go to the grocery store and be like, boom, got some essentials, let's cook something. Whereas I'm like, no, we need to go through the whole circular. We need to look through the pantry. We need to think, what does so-and-so need at school this week? Does it meet dietary needs? Will you even eat the new recipe that I'm going to try? Are we bored with the same ingredients over and over again? So you see how these decisions kind of all pile up, and we haven't even gotten to the cooking part. So that is a big pain point for me. But now let's reframe. I don't want you to look at this video and say, whoa, this girl, she's doing all the things. I want you to pick one thing from this video that really resonates with you, with something that could make some really lasting positive change. For me, I'm going into this saying, I'm a messy cook. I would like to use less dishes, maybe be more efficient with washing my dishes, and how can I save time overall in the whole process through the course of a week that might make getting the dinners out faster. So I need to shorten that kitchen window, so to speak. And that's what we're going to do. So let's talk about solutions. I'm going to coin the phrase, let's have less friction in the kitchen. That's kind of catchy. We are trying to cut down first on decision fatigue. It's the first thing that we need to do, you know? So if we have less friction, if we have fewer decisions, there's going to be less chaos. And we have to stay organized. So however we want to do that, that's step number one. Meal planning is not something that I always did. Sometimes I'd have a general idea of some ideas, but inevitably I would change my mind by the next day. But since having kids and life gets even busier as they get older with activities after school, I'm like, no, we do need to write it down and we have to stick to a plan because it will be fewer decisions overall. I happen to have a skylight calendar. I am not sponsored in any way, but I have found that for our family has been a very fun and snazzy tool to help me with recipe planning as well as grocery planning. So if you want more of a tutorial, let me know. But check it out because that for me has been really helpful. But whatever you do, wherever you meal plan, Write it down, make it very visible so that way you have 4 meals. I just want you to think of 4 because inevitably by the end of the 4th meal, you're out of certain things in your refrigerator and you probably need to go back to the store. So that way you're not like set in stone for a week. You might be like, ugh, I really don't want to cook that thing. The next thing I really want to talk about is the fact that 30-minute meals do exist, but they're usually not the ones that you see on TV because those people are professionals. They have a magic cabinet where they just hide the disgusting dishes underneath and someone else cleans it up after them. And also things are prepped ahead of time. Sometimes they're prepping it, right in front of you, but for the most part, I have found that so many of those meals are not ADHD friendly. The ADHD meals that are most friendly are either girl dinners, if you know, you know, but also the meals that you don't have to write things down. You don't have to like pull out a recipe. You're like, okay, these are go-to things that I can do and they're the easiest. They're on the top of my head. I can do them really quick. One of my personal favorites, for instance, is breakfast for dinner. So I am whipping up some toast. I'm doing some scrambled eggs, finding some other type of protein, maybe yogurt and some fruit, and like, boom, you have some different food groups there. Maybe it's not the most balanced with vegetables, but those are the types of things. So have those in your arsenal that maybe like a really busy night during the week, you're like, this is going to be a 30-minute meal. So that really has helped me too, to make sure that's always in the mix. So you're not doing 4 extremely hard, labor-intensive recipes in a row because they're fun, but they're exhausting. Next, we are prepping the food after we have brought it home. And we are not prepping this like a Michelin star restaurant, people. We don't need to do the masking tape with the perfect cuts on the bear and put it on our things. No, it's a long game. This will save me time over the course of the week. And I tried it this week, people, and it works. I have a salad spinner out here because what I like to do, we buy a lot of berries during the week. It's something that my kids love. It is perfect for school lunches, and we're going to talk about that in this section because we're going to take the salad spinner. We are going to fill it with water. We're going to put your berries, whatever, vegetables. If you want to be extra awesome, put in some baking soda with the water and let it just kind of sit, and it takes the ick off of your produce. I don't always buy organic, and so it's just a nice thing to do. So we are going to do that. We're going to spin it. We're going to try to get as much water off as possible. I like putting down then a cloth and we dry the items as much as possible. And if you can, I don't always want you to go to the store and invest in something, but over time I have found that if you get something like this, let me be awkward. Here we go. If you are able to get something that has like 3 little compartments, something like this, I have used this in so many different ways. It's a workhorse in my kitchen. I'm able to either prep things for a recipe and put them all in here. I have put different types of fruit, and this works in multiple ways. 1, if you have 2 recipes that use some similar ingredients, take out twice the amount that you would for 1 recipe and just prep a bunch. I did that with scallions this week as well as white onion, and I peeled extra garlic, which can take some extra time. And I was so happy yesterday when I made chicken tikka masala and I was like, my ingredients are here. And it was incredible. So it is a time saver overall if you can prep your food in advance, looking ahead at your recipes. The other thing that is truly incredible is if you prep your stuff when you come home, even though it's an extra step, it's going to, with any hope, prevent rot in your fridge. There is such a higher chance that I will go and grab some apple slices from the fridge instead of just letting my apples rot, or the celery sticks. They always go limp like a noodle because I buy them there for stars, for points for Heidi. And I'm like, Heidi, you should actually eat the celery. So there are smart ways that you can prep your food to make it last longer. That's another video for a whole other day. So if you want that, then let's explore that together. But the last thing I'm going to say about prepping is this has been a game changer with kid lunches. Over time, We are trying to prepare the food in advance. So when it comes to the pain point of, I have to decide what my kid is going to have for lunch, usually the biggest thing for me now is just deciding what's the main thing that they want for lunch. Is it a type of sandwich? Is it some forgiving leftover that they're willing to eat? Because I have chopped carrots, or I have cucumbers, or I have apple slices. There is a great way to save apple slices and they don't go brown. It's like, and also pack your lunches at night, because I don't know what I was so afraid of, but those are some really big time savers when it comes to prepping. So you're not so frazzled at the time of service. You're not frazzled first thing in the morning when I'm a zombie and I don't want to make breakfast. I don't want to make breakfast either. I don't want to make lunches for my kids and do the morning chaos. I've already packed it the night before. And I know that I prepped the strawberries in such a way that they're not going to get mushy by the time that it's lunch. So take these tips for what they're worth, but man, chef's kiss. You've done the prep work now. And what I love about the prep work being done is that the fewer steps overall that you are taking when you're cooking, it cuts down the amount of chances we're going to get distracted and we're going to take out too many tools, or we're running from one side of the kitchen to the other for the things that we need to chop up the vegetables every day versus just doing it all at once. It really has been so peaceful, and I really hope I adopt this habit. But next, I do want to talk about where do you have the tools in your kitchen? Because if we can streamline this, it leads right into the fact that it's fewer steps overall. This could be another video all on its own. So let me know if you want a tour of my crib on how I organize my kitchen to be a little bit more ADHD friendly. Maybe next week. But here is just a case in point. So this is where I find myself on the edge of the counter where I do a lot of cutting vegetables and produce, and I just recently moved all my knives into this drawer. I know not everyone can sacrifice a whole drawer for knives. My kids are older now, so they're not at risk of grabbing very sharp knives out of here, but I used to have to go over here in order to get them. I would sometimes chop things here, the sink's over here, but I was like, Heidi, your cutting boards are right here. So it's like a point of service where I'm like, great, cutting boards are down here, chopping is here. I chop, chop, chop. I turn around, my trash can and my sink are right there. So there are some really smart ways that we as ADHDers can help ourselves and say, how many zigzags am I doing in my kitchen, and can we cut down on the number of zigzags? Let's make sure that we are making it smarter and we're not working harder. Another tip that I have really loved from the late and great Anne Burrell, when I used to watch her show on Food Network, I loved that she had a bowl that was called Thanks for Coming. And it is seen on a lot of Top Chefs, type platforms where they will have, instead of you going to the trash can, they have a bowl where you are just tossing in scraps as you're chopping them. And again, it's just yet another example of how you can cut down on a step of moving somewhere else in the kitchen, that you're staying at your station and you're really staying focused. I love this too because something that I've adopted just in the past couple months is making my own vegetable or chicken stock. Never thought I would be like a homesteader, but we're talking about taking rotisserie chicken scraps and also some of those onion, celery, carrot scraps, and you just throw it in a freezer bag and you put it in your freezer for the next time that you just want to make your own chicken stock. Like, it's the easiest thing. But as I collect those scraps, it's a nice reminder to say, hey, here's another way to be sustainable, and yet another example of how if you adopt one little habit, it kind of snowballs and it just becomes automatic. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, talking about how can we reduce the number of dishes we're using when we're actually cooking. So thanks for sticking with me. We have finally arrived. I hate leading with this, but one of the number one tips to a successful not bomb has gone off after you have cooked is making sure that you have an unloaded dishwasher. and that it's ready to be loaded up as soon as you are done cooking. If this guy isn't taken care of before you start cooking, it makes it really hard and the dishes do pile up. So here's the thing though, if you make it a habit that you always have this empty, for the most part, before you're ready to cook, it just becomes a habit and it is ready to go. So the first couple times you get used to this one, it's a little painful. We're also going to talk about the types of dishes that we're using. I am of the mentality where it says, not dishwasher safe. I'm like, are you? Are you though? Like, can we just try this and see how it goes? I also think when taking out things when you're cooking, we're taking a look at the types of things you're using. So like these you could put in your dishwasher technically, but look at how big they are. And they're going to take up so much prime real estate in there instead of putting in your plates, your flatware, things like more things that could fit in there. So I want you to say, if you are prepping something, can it go in something smaller like this? It's dishwasher safe, takes up way less space. Sometimes, yes, you do need a big pan or a big pot, but can you mix the thing in the pot that you're cooking it with? Or can you do a one sheet bake in the oven? Those are great. Those are right up there with those 30-minute meals that do actually exist. I love that it is one pan. Can we use one pot in order to cook all of this and just keep stirring in the ingredients? If you have a cutting board and you're chopping a bunch of things, always do the meat last. You can reuse that cutting board until you get to the meat. Even if you are mixing meat and vegetables, as long as it's all going to be cooked at the same temperature, that's okay. So just make sure you're being safe with reusing some of the items that you already have. I also really recommend if you can get an Instant Pot, it is very ADHD friendly. I was very terrified of blowing up my house the first time that I got an Instant Pot, but the fact that it has so many multi-tool options, I could make my own yogurt, people. I'm not making my own yogurt, but I know I could do it. What I love is because I'm so time blind when trying to time a meal, I used to have these great crock pot recipes that would take 8 hours, but I would start them like 3 hours before dinner was supposed to be on the table. And once I got a Instant Pot, I could cook a whole chuck roast in about an hour and 20 minutes, which is unheard of. So that has been a real time saver and something that has also cut down on the amount of dishes I'm making overall, because it has multi-uses. So that's something that's been very ADHD friendly. Let's also not downplay the gold mine that is if you make a ton of extra protein, can you cook a similar protein, but then mix it into a bunch of different things during the week? This is a classic approach to really helping with prepping food. So just like prepping your vegetables earlier in the week, you're prepping one main protein. So what that could look like is making a really big chicken in your Instant Pot and shred that up to put into tacos, to put into a soup, something like that. So it really kind of takes the guesswork out of the biggest part of a meal sometimes. I would feel really defiant anytime someone would say, just clean as you go. And I'm like, oh, it's that easy, is it? And it hasn't always been that easy. I've been washing dishes for 30 years. And I said, all right, what you got? What is this clean as you go strategy? And I am here to say, if that dishwasher is empty, you are left with these hand wash only pieces, and it kind of is doable. So here's what we do, is we take a Swedish dishcloth. Please don't use a sponge. If you're gonna use a sponge, always make sure that you're disinfecting it by running it through the dishwasher after the cycle, because it gets gross and it's less fun and it's smelly. So I've really enjoyed the diluted dish soap trick as well. I don't fill up my sink completely with water. I do soak those pots and pans, but this has been really cool because I'm like, great, I'm not using as much dish soap as I once was. And I was like, I like this trick. It feels more doable for me to wash a quick pan between those waiting moments, because clean as you go, in my mind now, is kind of like when we tell our kids, before you take out another toy or a craft, let's clean this up and then let's get the other thing, because that's how dishes pile up. And I'm like, you're right, Heidi, you're right. Put our big girl pants on and let's be better about taking care of our things. We're also going to clean from cleanest to dirtiest. There were chefs on YouTube telling me this trick, and I'm like, I never said it out loud, but I guess that makes a lot of sense. So the way that makes it better is you're not dealing then with this greasy, disgusting sponge or dishcloth that you're putting on all of your other dishes. And it does make for a better cleaning experience, and it makes it easier for you to clean as you go. And then you just put it in the wash at the end. Since testing out some of these strategies this week, I felt that cooking overall was lighter for me. That said, I have some important disclaimers to say. Number one, you don't have to be a neat cook. There's no pressure. But if you hate the fallout of cleaning it up, or if you have someone in your life that cleans up the dishes after you do your creativity, it just might make life a little easier. Second, I'd like to remind everyone that I have older children, because I know that life was different when I had toddlers clinging onto me or a baby that was on my hip while trying to cook. And so wherever you are in life, whatever season you're in, if there is a way for you to lean into those ways to cut corners, it's not cheating and it doesn't sacrifice taste. Go for those frozen chopped vegetables in your freezer section to add to a great stir fry. Get that rotisserie chicken in order to throw into a meal instead of doing it from scratch for yourself. These are things that I should probably be doing more of, because they're easier and you can still be creative and not sacrifice that taste that you're going for. So if this was helpful, send this to another great cook in your life and say how, maybe there's some truth to this, or maybe they know some tips too that could help this thread. So put those comments down below and I would love to hear from you. Have a fantastic week and let's be productive.